Pastor Mike here in the study. The last several weeks we've been talking about the subject of the gospel, and in laying that out we said there's three words that are wrapped up in the term gospel or in salvation, and those words are justification, sanctification, and glorification. And those words describe aspects of what took place the day I got saved and what is promised to me because of my salvation. And so we talked about justification. That is the legal declaration that I have legal standing before God as innocent and without sin. That's justification. And then sanctification is the fact that He has taken possession of us and that He is shaping us into His image. And so it is ownership and renovation. And then finally we come to the word glorification. And this is the hope of every believer. It's the hope that Paul describes here in chapter 4 of 2 Corinthians when he's talking about the troubling process of this life. He says this in verse number 14, knowing that He which raised up the Lord Jesus shall raise up us also by Jesus and shall present us with you. Paul is saying, man, I know that this world is not all there is, and that salvation culminates in the fact that one day everything is going to be made new. Everything that was lost in the garden will be restored. Everything that when Adam and Eve sinned against God and they lost paradise, paradise will be restored. That God will dwell with man. But not only is the earth going to be restored, and there'll be a new heaven and a new earth, and there'll be an earth without sin, but you and I will be made new. And in 1 Corinthians 15, he's very clear about that. He said there is a resurrection, and that resurrection is going to end with the idea of this mortal flesh putting on immortal, and this temporal being turned into eternal, and all of those things are going to take place. And he's pointing that which is sinful is going to be made without sin, and we're going to be glorified before God in eternity. And we will have sinless bodies without the pains and the aches and the death and the sickness that comes down here in this fallen world, and without the pride and without the anger and the frustrations that battle against our process of sanctification even now. And we are going to be made like Jesus. The Bible tells us in John that 1 John rather, he said we shall be like Him, for we shall see Him as He is. We are going to be conformed to His image fully and be like Jesus. And what a beautiful picture that's going to be one day when we stand before Him. That's the end and the culmination of what we're doing. As a matter of fact, he says this. He said, we know that if our earthly house, this body of this tabernacle, were dissolved, we have a building of God, a house not made with hands, eternal in the heavens. And Paul even says, look, we're earnestly waiting for that day. We want to see that day when glorification is a reality. But until then, 1 Corinthians 15 tells us this, be therefore steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord, for as much as you know your labor is not in vain in the Lord. Hope it'll be an encouragement to you today. God bless you, and we'll see you next time in the study.